The USS Valiant flew quietly through space. It was a human medical ship on a mission to help people. Captain Nathan Grant looked out the big window on the bridge. He could see 4 other medical ships flying with them. All 5 ships were headed to Proxima B, a human colony where a big earthquake had hurt many people. "Captain, we will reach Proxima B in 40 minutes, said Officer Peter Clark from his control panel. Nathan nodded. Good. The people there have waited 3 days for medical help. The Valiant was the biggest ship in the small fleet. It carried doctors, nurses, and lots of medical supplies. The Earth government had sent their best people to help the hurt colonists. In the medical bay, Dr. Olivia Martinez checked her supplies again. She was the head doctor on the Valiant. At 45 years old, she had helped during many disasters, but the reports from Proxima B worried her. "Dr. Martinez, the blood supplies are ready," said Dr. Alan Russell, her assistant. He was younger than Olivia, but very smart. "We have enough for at least 500 major surgeries." "Good work, Alan," said Olivia. She looked at the medical team preparing. The emergency room. "Remember, everyone, when we land, we take the worst cases first. The colony hospital is still standing, but they need our help." Suddenly, a loud alarm rang through the ship. The lights blinked red. Olivia grabbed the wall as the ship shook. Up on the bridge, Captain Grant turned quickly to his crew. "What's happening?" Lieutenant Diana Walsh looked up from her screen with fear in her eyes. "Captain, strange ships are coming toward us very fast. They're not answering our calls." Before Nathan could say anything, a bright beam of energy cut through space and hit one of their ships, the USS Defender. The ship broke apart in a ball of fire. "Who are they? Why are they attacking us?" yelled Officer Clark. Through the window, Nathan saw the enemy ships clearly now. They were purple and shaped like arrows. He had never seen ships like these before. "All ships, move away," Nathan ordered into his radio. "Try to escape." But the medical ships were slow. They were built to carry supplies and people, not to run or fight. The purple ships moved much faster. Another beam hit a second medical ship, then a third. Nathan watched helplessly as his friends died. "Captain, they're coming for us next," said Diana, her voice shaking. In the medical bay, Olivia and Alan tried to keep their patients safe as the ship shook from nearby explosions. "This is crazy," said Olivia. "We're a medical ship. We have big red cross symbols on our hull. Everyone in space knows what that means." Alan pointed to the window. "These aliens either don't know or don't care." The ship shook again, harder this time. The lights went out, then emergency lights came on, casting everything in a dim red glow. "We've lost our shields," said a voice over the ship radio. "Hull breach on deck 3. On the bridge, Nathan knew they were going to die, but he could still do one last thing. "Samantha," he called to his communications officer, "send everything." Samantha Collins looked up, confused. "Sir?" "Our ship logs, our mission details, our medical status. Broadcast it all on every channel. Show the universe what these aliens are doing. Show them they're killing doctors who came to help earthquake victims." Samantha understood. Her fingers flew over her control panel. "Broadcasting now, Captain." The ship's cameras turned on, streaming video to anyone who might be listening. The cameras showed the medical bay, the supplies, the injured colonists they had managed to pick up. The broadcast showed everything. "This is Captain Nathan Grant of the USS Valiant," Nathan said, his voice calm despite his fear. "We are a medical vessel on a humanitarian mission to Proxima B. We carry no weapons. We are being attacked without reason or warning." Another hit rocked the ship. Part of the ceiling fell down. "Whoever is receiving this message," Nathan continued, "remember what happened here. Remember that we came to help and they killed us for it." The purple ships, belonging to the Zexar Empire, fired again. Their commanders saw the humans as weak. They thought destroying these ships would show human colonies how helpless they were against the mighty Zexar. They didn't know that this attack would be remembered forever. They didn't know that killing doctors would make humans angrier than anything else could. They didn't know that this day would be the beginning of the end for their empire. The Valiant broke apart under the Zexar attack. The broadcast kept sending until the very end, as the ship died in the cold of space. As the Zexar ships left, they thought they had won a small victory, but they had just started a war they could not win. Ryan Patterson opened his eyes to complete darkness. His head hurt, and he tasted blood in his mouth. He tried to remember what had happened. Then it all came back. The attack, the explosions, the screams on the radio. Ryan was the chief engineer on the USS Valiant. He had been checking the engines when the attack started. When the ship began to break apart, an emergency pod had closed around him. These pods were built to save people if a ship lost air. Now this small metal box was keeping him alive in space. He touched his head and felt a cut above his eye. It wasn't too bad. Ryan reached for the emergency kit that was in every pod. He found a small flashlight and turned it on. The pod was just big enough for one person to sit in. It had a small window, an air tank, some food and water, and a basic radio. Ryan knew he needed to see what was happening outside. He wiped the window and looked out. What he saw made his stomach turn. There was nothing left of the medical fleet. Pieces of ships floated everywhere. The 5 proud vessels that had carried so many doctors, nurses, and helpers were now just broken metal in space. Through the debris, Ryan saw the purple alien ships moving away. They seemed happy with what they had done. Ryan felt anger burn inside him. Those were medical ships. They had been going to help people. Ryan turned on the pod's radio. "This is Chief Engineer Ryan Patterson from the USS Valiant," he said. "Can anyone hear me? The medical fleet has been attacked. I repeat, our medical fleet has been attacked by unknown alien ships." He kept sending this message over and over. But Ryan knew the chances of someone hearing him were very small. Space was too big, and his radio was too small. For 3 days, Ryan stayed in the pod. He saved his food and water, taking only small sips and bites. The air was getting thin. Ryan knew he only had about 1 more day of oxygen left. He was sleeping when a light woke him up. A bright beam was shining through his window. For a moment, Ryan thought the alien ships had come back to finish the job. But then he heard a human voice on the radio. "This is the USS Sentinel. We hear you, Engineer Patterson. Stay calm, we're coming to get you." Ryan couldn't believe it. The Sentinel was a human explorer ship. Somehow they had heard Captain Grant's last message and come to look for survivors. An hour later, Ryan watched as a rescue ship came closer to his pod. Soon, gentle hands were helping him onto the Sentinel. A doctor checked him while Captain Lisa Morgan stood nearby. "You're the only one we found alive," Captain Morgan said softly. "We've been searching for 3 days." Ryan nodded. He had known, looking at the wreckage, that the chance of other survivors was small. "Captain, I need to show you something." Before the pod had sealed, Ryan had grabbed something important, the ship's data core. Even as the Valiant was dying, his engineer's mind had thought to save this small box that recorded everything that had happened. They knew what they were shooting at, Ryan told Captain Morgan as they watched the videos from the data core. "Our ships had big red crosses on them. The universal sign for medical ships, and look at this." The video showed the alien ships clearly. Their purple hulls and strange designs were unlike anything humans had seen before. "I also saved the engine room data," Ryan said. "It shows how their weapons work, how their ships move. I'm an engineer. I notice these things." Captain Morgan put a hand on Ryan's shoulder. "This is very important information. We need to get it to Earth right away." The news of the attack spread quickly. On Earth and all the human colonies, people were shocked and angry. Medical ships were never supposed to be attacked. It was a rule that all space-traveling people followed. This attack was like nothing humans had seen before. At a big meeting, Admiral William Harper showed the videos from the Valiant. "These aliens, who we now know call themselves the Zexar, have broken the most basic rule of space. They attacked people who were coming to heal, not harm. This cannot stand." The room was silent as the people watched the final moments of the Valiant. They saw Captain Grant's brave last message. They saw the doctors trying to protect their patients even as the ship died around them. For the first time, Admiral Harper said, "All human worlds are united in one goal. We will show these Zexar that attacking healers was the worst mistake they could have made. Ryan spent the next weeks working with military scientists. He showed them everything he knew about the Zexar ships, how fast they moved, what weapons they used, where they might be weak. His knowledge as an engineer helped humans start to plan how to fight back. At night, Ryan often thought about his friends on the Valiant, Captain Grant, Dr. Martinez, and all the others who had died trying to help people. He made a promise to them. The Zexar would learn that killing doctors had been a terrible mistake. They thought they were showing their power, but they had only awakened humanity's anger. And angry humans, as the Zexar would soon learn, were very dangerous enemies indeed. 6 months passed after the attack on the medical fleet. During this time, humans changed in ways no one could have imagined. Before the attack, Earth and its colonies often argued with each other. Now, they worked together with one goal: to make sure no one would ever attack doctors in space again. Colonel Victoria Howard sat in a big room filled with military leaders. At 38, she was younger than most people at her rank, but she was very smart. Victoria had studied the videos from the Valiant attack over and over until she knew every detail. "The Zexar think we will attack them directly," she said, pointing to a map of space on the big screen. "That's what they would do. But we need to be smarter than that." General Paul Adams looked doubtful. "They have bigger ships and better weapons. How do we fight an enemy like that?" Victoria smiled. "By not fighting the way they expect. Our spies have learned something important about the Zexar. Their society has strict levels. The leaders at the top keep secrets from the workers at the bottom. Most Zexar don't even know their leaders attacked our medical ships." This was important news. The room became quiet as everyone thought about what it meant. "So instead of attacking their ships," Victoria continued, "we attack their secrets. We tell the truth to all Zexar, not just the leaders." Her plan was called Operation Nightfall. Instead of a direct attack, small teams of humans would sneak into Zexar space. They would spread information and plant computer viruses that would let humans see what the Zexar were planning. Meanwhile, in a secret lab, Dr. Derek Franklin was leading a team of scientists. They were studying pieces of Zexar ships found floating in space after the attack. "Their weapons are better than ours," Derek told his team. "But their computer security is terrible. They never thought they would need to protect their computers from others." The scientists worked day and night. They found ways to talk to Zexar computers, to read their messages, and even to control their machines. This would be very useful in the coming fight. While Victoria and Derek worked, factories across Earth and the colonies were building new kinds of ships. These ships were smaller than normal warships, but had special technology that made them hard to see on radar. They could hide among stars or even pretend to be Zexar ships. One of the first teams to enter Zexar space was led by Sergeant Kyle Bennett. Kyle and his 5 teammates rode in a small ship that looked like a normal trading vessel. Their job was to reach a Zexar communication center and upload a special computer virus. "Remember," Kyle told his team as they prepared, "we're not here for revenge. We're here to make sure no other doctors die like this." The team wore special suits that hid their heat and made them hard to see. They floated through space from their ship to the Zexar station. Once inside, they moved carefully through the purple hallways. The Zexar were tall, thin aliens with 4 arms. Their skin was bluish-purple, and they had 3 eyes in a triangle on their faces. Kyle's team reached the main computer room without being seen. While 2 team members watched the doors, Kyle connected a small device to the Zexar computer. "Uploading now," he whispered into his radio. "Virus is working." The virus didn't damage the Zexar computers. Instead, it created a secret door that would let humans see everything the Zexar were saying to each other. It would also let humans put their own messages into the Zexar communication system when the time was right. Kyle's team was just one of many. Over 3 months, human teams entered Zexar bases, ships, and communication centers all through their empire. Soon, humanity could see and hear what the Zexar leaders were planning. But the Zexar didn't know they were being watched. Back on Earth, Victoria Howard was made a general, the youngest person ever given that rank. She spoke to the first class of students at the new Space Combat Academy. The Zexar think they are invincible, she told the young cadets. That is their biggest weakness. They attacked our doctors because they thought we were weak. They thought we would be afraid. She walked slowly across the stage, looking at the faces of the future fighters. But they were wrong about humans. We are not weak and we are not afraid. We are patient and we are smart. When animals are threatened, they attack right away. When humans are threatened, we plan, and the Zexar will soon learn what happens when you make humans angry. The cadets stood and cheered. Many had lost friends or family in the attack. They were ready to show the Zexar that attacking doctors had been a terrible mistake. In space, the new human ghost ships practiced moving without being seen. Their captains learned to hide among asteroids or in the tails of comets. They practiced appearing and disappearing from radar. One ghost ship captain, Nicole Peters, was especially good at hiding her ship. She could follow Zexar war vessels for days without them knowing she was there. Nicole's ship, the Retribution, was one of the first ready for the coming battle. The Zexar believe they know everything about humans, Nicole told her crew during a practice drill. But they only see what we want them to see, and soon they won't even see us coming. As the 1-year mark of the medical fleet attack approached, the Zexar Empire prepared to attack human space. They had no idea that humans could read their plans. They had no idea that human ships were already hiding near their bases. And they had no idea that their own people would soon learn the truth about the medical ship massacre. The Zexar thought attacking helpless doctors would be the start of their victory. Instead, it would be the beginning of their end. 1 year after the attack on the medical fleet, the Zexar Empire launched what they thought would be an easy victory over humans. 500 Zexar warships moved toward the solar system, where Earth and its closest colonies were. Admiral Thraskall stood on the bridge of the biggest Zexar ship. He was tall with bluish-purple skin and 3 yellow eyes. 2 of his 4 arms held control panels while the other 2 were folded across his chest. The humans are weak, he told his officers. They will surrender when they see our great fleet. What the Admiral didn't know was that Captain Nicole Peters of the ghost ship Retribution was hiding near his ship. Her vessel was so well hidden that Zexar scanners thought it was just a small asteroid. From this close position, Nicole could hear every message the Admiral sent to his fleet. General Howard, I'm sending you their attack plan now, Nicole said, quietly into her radio. They plan to attack Earth directly with their main fleet. Back on Earth, General Victoria Howard received the message in her command center. Around her, hundreds of humans worked at computers tracking the Zexar fleet. Victoria smiled as she heard the Zexar plans. They're doing exactly what we expected, she said to her officers. Begin Operation Nightfall, Phase 3. All across human space, ghost ships that had been hiding for months began to move. These small, fast ships were nearly invisible to Zexar sensors. They moved into positions around the approaching Zexar fleet. At the same time, human computer experts activated the viruses they had planted in Zexar systems. Suddenly, the Zexar ships couldn't talk to each other properly. Some messages didn't reach their targets. Other messages were changed, giving wrong orders. Admiral Thraskall grew angry as his fleet began having problems. What is happening? He shouted. Why can't we contact our other ships? One of his officers looked scared. Admiral, something is wrong with our communication system, and our scanners are showing strange readings. The strange readings were human ghost ships, appearing and disappearing from Zexar scanners. The Zexar had never seen ships that could hide like this. They didn't know what they were seeing. Meanwhile, on the Zexar homeworld and their colony, planet, something unexpected was happening. The normal Zexar news broadcasts were interrupted. Instead of their regular programs, the Zexar people saw videos from the human medical fleet attack. The videos showed clearly that the ships had been medical vessels. They showed doctors and nurses trying to help patients. They showed Captain Grant's final brave message. And they showed the Zexar ships firing on unarmed vessels. Most Zexar had never heard about this attack. Their leaders had kept it secret. Now millions of Zexar were learning that their military had broken one of their own sacred rules: never attack healers. In Zexar culture, doctors were special. They were considered blessed by the Zexar gods. Attacking them was a terrible crime. As the video spread across Zexar space, people began to gather in the streets. Workers stopped working. Soldiers questioned their orders. Back in space, Admiral Thrasikal made a big mistake. Not knowing what was happening, he split his fleet into smaller groups to chase what he thought were human ships running away. He didn't realize he was falling into General Howard's trap. "The Zexar fleet is splitting up," reported Officer Greg Adams in Earth's command center. "They're doing exactly what we wanted." Victoria nodded. "Tell all ghost ships to begin attack." Pattern Delta. As the Zexar ships separated from each other, human ghost ships attacked them one by one. The ghost ships would appear suddenly, fire quickly, and disappear before the Zexar could shoot back. Captain Kyle Bennett, who had been promoted after his successful mission, led one group of ghost ships. His ships destroyed 3 Zexar destroyers, without taking any damage. "They can't hit what they can't see," Kyle told his crew as they moved to attack another Zexar ship. Admiral Thrasikal was becoming desperate. Half of his fleet was damaged or not responding. The humans seemed to know his plans before he made them. And now he was getting urgent messages from the Zexar homeworld about riots in the streets. "We must show these humans our power," he told his remaining officers. "Prepare our biggest weapons, we will destroy their planet and end this." But Dr. Derek Franklin was ready for this moment. For months, his science team had been building a special weapon. As the Zexar ships prepared to fire, Derek gave the order to activate it. Across the solar system, special satellites turned on. They sent out an electromagnetic pulse that had been specially designed to affect Zexar technology. The pulse washed over the Zexar fleet like an invisible wave. One by one, the Zexar ships lost power. Their weapons went dead. Their engines stopped. Even their life support systems began to fail. Admiral Thrasikal watched in horror as his mighty fleet became nothing more than metal boxes floating in space. His own flagship's lights began to flicker and die. "What is happening?" he hissed. "How can they do this?" For the first time, the Admiral understood the terrible mistake his empire had made. The species they thought was weak had not only survived their attack but had completely defeated the greatest fleet in the galaxy. On the ghost ship Retribution, Captain Nicole Peters watched as the Zexar flagship drifted helplessly in space. She opened a communication channel to the Zexar ship. "Admiral Thrasikal," she said, "this is Captain Peters of the human fleet. 1 year ago you attacked our medical ships. You killed our doctors who came to help people. You thought we were weak. You were wrong." The Admiral had no choice but to surrender. Human ships moved in to capture the drifting Zexar vessels. The battle was over, but the changes in the galaxy were just beginning. 3 years passed after the Great Battle. The Zexar Empire was no more. When their people learned about the attack on the human medical ships, many Zexar rebelled against their leaders. The Empire broke apart, and a new government formed called the Zexar Confederacy. This new government wanted peace with humans. To show they were serious, they agreed to meet on a special ship, the USS Valiant II. This new ship was built to look like the medical ship that had been destroyed. It was a hospital ship, helping people across the galaxy. Dr. Heather Martinez walked through the halls of the Valiant II. She was the younger sister of Dr. Olivia Martinez, who had died in the attack. Now Heather was the chief doctor on this new ship. She wore the same kind of white uniform her sister had worn. Today was important. Leaders from Earth and from the new Zexar Confederacy were meeting on the Valiant II to sign a peace agreement. Heather would be there to represent the doctors who had died. In the ship's big meeting room, humans and Zexar sat at a round table. The Zexar representatives looked different from the military leaders who had attacked the fleet. These were mostly from the worker class, thinner, with lighter purple skin. They had fought to change their own society after learning what their leaders had done. General Victoria Howard was there for Earth. She had led the fight against the Zexar, but now she was helping build peace. Next to her sat Ryan Patterson, the engineer who had survived the attack and helped humans understand Zexar technology. Heather entered the room carrying a small glass case. Inside was a list of names, every person who had died on the 5 medical ships. She placed it in the center of the table. My sister was the head doctor on the first Valiant, Heather said. She believed that doctors should help everyone, no matter who they are. That is still our belief. We will help Zexar who are sick or hurt, just as we help humans. But first, we need to know this will never happen again. The lead Zexar representative stood up. His name was Mextal, and he had been one of the first to rebel against the old empire. What our old leaders did was wrong, Mextal said in a low, sad voice. In our culture, healers are sacred. Attacking them is the worst crime. We ask forgiveness, though we know it cannot bring back those who died. Victoria nodded. The past cannot be changed, but the future is ours to make. Today we start a new chapter. The humans and Zexar signed the peace agreement. Part of it said that medical ships from both species would work together to help people on all worlds. The USS Valiant II would lead this work. After the meeting, Ryan Patterson stood by a window looking out at the stars. He thought about the day the first Valiant was destroyed and all the friends he had lost. They would be proud of this, said Victoria, coming to stand beside him. Their deaths led to something good in the end. Ryan nodded. The Zexar thought attacking our medical ships would make us weak. Instead, it made us stronger than we've ever been. Across human space, monuments were built to remember the 5 ships and their crews. On Earth, the biggest one stood in front of the new United Earth headquarters. Ryan had helped design it. The monument showed 5 medical ships made of white stone, with water flowing around them like stars. The Zexar attack had united humans like nothing before. It had pushed them to develop new technology and new ways of thinking. Now, humans were leaders in the galaxy, respected for their strength but also for their mercy. The USS Valiant II continued the work that the first Valiant never finished. It traveled to worlds in need, bringing doctors and help. And when people saw it coming, they knew that humans had turned a terrible loss into a lasting peace.